Welcome to the Tim Selinske U.S. Masters Disc Golf Championship. We are in Cary, North Carolina. This is a PDGA Major. Thank you to Gatekeeper Media, and to Ace Run Pro for all of this wonderful coverage. I am Juliana Korver, and joining me in the booth today is Jennifer Allen.
Yeah, welcome. I'm excited to be able to commentate a round that we've both been in and playing these courses all week long. This is where we're at the start of round number 3. We are back at Buckhorn Disc Golf Course.
Kind of have two battles going. Sarah and Jennifer are both at even par, and myself and KK, Kristine King, are 7 over par. Here we are, hole 1. This is 350 feet. It is a par 3, starting off with the trees, and this is a very straight hole.
Yeah, just like you see, keep it straight as you can. A slow flying disc, or one that's not going to go left or right too much. Try to avoid any horrible kicks off the first tee. Kind of at 350, I don't think I realized it was that long. It's hard to throw a slow flying disc
from
that
Caldwell,
far.
Idaho. Sarah Hokom.
Sarah coming off the spectacular round yesterday.
Yeah, that forehand was just hitting every line, as well as her putting better than I've seen her in so long. But, I mean, that's woods golf. Like, it sets up so well for the forehand, so she can keep it pretty clean, continue to hit great putts. Like,
Next on the tee
I
from
think she's
Gilbert,
really gonna
Arizona,
improve
Jennifer
from
Allen.
the first round out here. Going with my older star T-Bird. Was able to get the only birdie on this on round 1. I did not think it could be repeated, but that's all I wanted. I just wanted to repeat the straight line.
Is that the same disc you threw in the first round?
Mm-hmm. It was not a disc I chose during practice at all.
Next to tee from Orange City, Iowa, Juliana Korver.
He practiced. He tried. Lou's doing a great job. Yeah. These locals, the volunteers, everyone has been so good to us out here.
A little bit of a kick.
And from
not too far off the
Chico,
fairway.
California, it's KK.
Flash Santa Cruz.
Those of us who like to claim our roots and we want to claim 2 cities, we do the same thing. Beautiful drive, and that's really all you want. You don't have to bite off that full 350, but just trying to stay in the middle, get a nice little jump putt or approach, and start off with a par is, I think, what every one of us wants.
Absolutely. Nice, safe approach.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of ground play with the hard dirt covered in pine needles. Nice little floater. I think all of us have been working the putters more than usual on these courses. And I've seen Sarah do that at least over a handful of times.
I was just going to say half a dozen times.
So many. And she's executed every time. Kind of wanted to give it a soft bid. I knew it wasn't going to do too much more than likely if I missed, but also you want that nice stress-free tap in on the first hole.
KK in for par.
I did see that one might be brand new as this morning.
Yeah, we did this a little bit better than the first round.
Definitely better than the first round. Pars around, going on to hole number 2.
Go peek at it real quick. See where Smitty is?
This is number 2. It is a par 4. It is 609 feet.
Yeah, so you're wanting to, again, land that about 280-foot shot right about here where that nice little walker is. The drone is going around the back door, but the main fairway is over there to the right. It's just very difficult to get that very small landing zone. If you miss it, you can try this way. I actually was able to get the 3 this way during practice, so it's doable. Main thing is hitting this gap like Sarah is showing us.
Taking advantage of that right fade there.
Actually changed up my disc because my rock went a little too far, so I was going to try to get a little more right turn with this Mako, and just like on hole 1 yesterday, it hyzers out on me. It's still working itself into doing how it should fly as a Mako. It's kind of brand new. What is this red disc that you
Very,
throw so
very
much?
flippy Roadrunner.
Okay. You execute this straight shot with it so well and so flat, and it holds the line every time.
A little wide, not quite able to turn it
Yeah,
enough.
she was so close to hitting that line. Having to kind of squat in between a couple of trees here. I actually hit the gap that I wanted and almost went exactly into the middle. We were joking yesterday about how much, like, 1 foot, you know, KK and I were pretty close, but she was kind of in the more open gap, didn't have to squat down underneath the branch, and able to execute straight to the middle.
You're so right. A couple inches can make such a big difference.
Unreal. And usually you land where you want to, and it's that ground play that gets you where you have nothing.
Oh, no.
Okay, but that's a good kick, kicking back
Was
to
a
the
good
fairway.
kick. Just a late release. I think she has such a nice soft throw, kind of a catch throw, and needed maybe a little more aggressive pull on it.
I was kind of in the in-between zone, trying to decide whether to go during the traditional route or the back door, and I chose the traditional.
Yeah, you were right in the middle, but you definitely picked the right line. This was out of your hand. You just knew it. You nailed the gap, and you kept the straight flight long enough that you didn't cut in too early. That's usually the mistake I saw more often, was it cutting in a little too early and then still not getting that ground play to the basket, kind of like Sarah did there. You really want to kind of aim for that really big tree in the middle and then hyzer down. I dreamed this up. Like, that's what I wanted it to do. I did not think I could execute that shot. Actually, a little too far, just outside circle. T-Bird kind
It
of
was
does.
a very nice line, though, to be able
Yeah,
to turn
it
that
was-
through the trees and have it come back.
I was hoping it would execute, and it was able to. And KK getting great ground play right up to bullseye. Sarah giving this a run, looks like.
It's a pretty long putt, and it's a little bit downhill.
She had the I'm going to make this putt look in her eye. I was really hoping, I kind of felt like I had that one. Cut it just a little too early.
Never gave that one a chance. Nose down.
And taking the 5 doesn't feel horrible. You know,
No,
did have to pitch out, did miss a putt, but you have to be able to not beat yourself up on these courses, because this really theoretically plays like a par 5. Getting in the 4 like this is playing it perfectly. You guys definitely showed us how it's done.
Welcome back. This is hole 3. It's 303 feet. It's a par 3. It plays a little bit less than the 303.
I think so too. If you can hit a straight shot through that nice little bendy curve there and get it to kind of glide over that hill, then you're going to get a nice straight ground play and scoot up towards the basket.
And as is the case on most of the holes, this is a very fast green.
I do love how most of them are pretty flat for us though.
Miss it. Miss it again. Take left. Okay. You guys look at this mushroom. I didn't say that.
Asking for the perfect kicks. Got a pretty good one. Second one helped her stay pretty close, and then that's key.
Got it.
So hitting a tree we know is probably going to happen. It's what does it do afterwards, and
Exactly. Landing right by the base of the tree. That's a pretty good result.
absolutely.
Of course, not hitting any trees, a much better result.
Aiming at a catch cam there gave us a good target.
Yes. Yay. Just I want the first trees.
Carrying pin high, just outside circle 1. This is a great out. I don't know how much for you might have probably hit the second tree. You know, it was almost done with it.
Turned over just a little bit too much.
Sit. Sit. Little sit. Okay.
And like you said, the play's a little shorter, so kind of overshooting that one just a little bit. AVR always just goes right to the koozie for you.
Well, not quite always, but usually.
I saw that flip up and I had that like little moment of fear. Like I thought that was perfect. KK laying up as well. And I don't believe we had any birdies on this hole today,
Not
even
today.
though it's one of our shorter holes on the course. It's not that these holes aren't birdieable. It's just, it's very difficult to execute.
Well, it's such a precise
everything.
line.
Yes. Beautiful par save from Sarah.
And it's not like you just have to hit one gap. You have to stay on that line for the entirety of the
Exactly.
hole.
And it's hard for, I think, us, like I said, the slower speed disc for us sometimes won't fly that far. A lot of the guys do throw, putters and mids on a lot of these, but for us, we kind of need a little more disc for the distance.
This is hole number 4. It is 348 feet. It's par 3.
Hitting either this bigger gap here on the right. I had the locals tell me this little gap here on the right, sorry, the big one's on the left, actually plays more open towards the pin. It is scary, I think, to throw towards a bunch of green leaves, but I've seen a lot of discs fly through there.
Well, the green leaves are a lot better than a lot of
This is true.
trees.
Smaller
So
branches.
It did seem like discs were able to filter through
on the right.
if you were a little off the fairway better on this hole than many of the other ones.
Yeah, and with the elevation change, I don't feel like it really plays that 350 going with the leopard. And today I did try to go ahead and sneak on the right side, and somehow you just fly by like 80 trees. Went a little long. But I did like, it was a smoother flight than trying to hit that bigger middle gap there. You have been able to execute that line both rounds. Not quite as far as round 1. We'll see if you can hit that birdie putt again.
KK throwing over the valley there, not quite able to get up the slope on the other side.
Yeah, had the flight, just a little more distance was needed. Sarah punching through, getting a little help. Gonna knock her over where she can tap that in. And you just weigh your percentages, and it's like, okay, yeah, maybe I could throw this in, but those putts are really nice, though.
Exactly, the no stress putt.
And I think it's maybe a little bit easier when we know we're on a course that very few birdies are occurring on any hole. So you don't feel, I was going for that one, but you don't feel like you have to go for it, because this is what happens. Now I'm, not quite as long of a putt, but
Well, I think that's a difference between our games. I've always been a very conservative player, so I don't often go for stuff that I think is outside of my high percentage, and I think you are more
I like those
aggressive.
jump putts. Yeah, I would rather do a jump putt than a short putt any day. So, but it's, if you don't hit the target, then you're like, man, I should have laid that up like everybody else for the tap in. So, I believe we had 3 pars there, and KK unfortunately taking the bogey, and we'll head over to hole number 5.
Hole 5, 673 feet. This is our first par 5.
Playing like a par 6, wanting to try to land somewhere at the turn here. Getting off left or right is very difficult to control that next shot up this small fairway through those double door trees. Then we're going to finally finish curving all the way down to the right.
So it's a right turn, then a left turn,
Yeah,
then a
we're
little bit straight,
dancing
and then
all
kind of right
over
again.
this. Third most difficult hole on the course. And Sarah just, like if her disc is flying the flight pattern on the tee signs. Like she is just dialing these drives in exactly where she needs to. I went ahead and stepped up to my T-bird, thinking I can control it a little bit more. I was very afraid that I knew I had flown past the landing zone. I'd never attempted a fairway driver. I'd always went mid. So I was actually pretty concerned about that drive. That just cutting down a little too quick. But when you go by another tee pad, you know that it's probably not too bad.
KK going even farther to the right in front of that tee pad, which actually does open up the line.
Yeah, I believe they wanted us to tee from these pads, but they did not know if they would be finished in time for the event, and the caddy books had already been printed. So they felt like, just in case people were in town prior to the event practicing the caddy books, they didn't want a last minute switch. But I told them I'm pretty sure all of us would have accepted the shorter tee pads without complaint.
Appreciate the thought process there, but yes, I think that this was a pretty big ask, this hole.
Yeah. And Sarah, again, just dialing in precision on that second approach. I definitely, after today, we only played this a couple of times. I had one day on each course in practice. I went with the stable putter thinking I kind of needed to. I was trying to get a little bit further up the gap because the drive was so good. But I wish I just would have pitched up with my putting putter just a few feet. You just hate to do that when you've thrown such an amazing drive.
It takes such discipline.
Yes. Because I'm like, wow, I made it this far. I can already proceed to the third shot.
Right, as you said, you were farther than you thought you could be. So I was worried about hitting my hand there, and I should have done exactly what you just said. I should have just pitched out to the middle. Yeah.
Yep. Because unfortunately, we put ourselves. This actually opens you up, okay, but even throwing 20 feet less on, I wouldn't be dealing with a shot like this. But able to find most of my way out back to the middle, but definitely kind of wasting one throw. So this is Sarah throwing 3. And I will say this is the same for the men. And I'm going to go ahead while we're watching these next shots and look at the men's scores on this.
Well, Sarah was definitely the only birdie in our division.
I got it.
There were 7 birdies from the men's division in the MP40.
Incredible.
So 8 birdies today, one of them Sarah.
So we are making those AVRs do some work, both of us getting up there so we can hopefully tap these pars in. KK pitching out as well. I thought that was KK's putter. We all have these beautiful teal putters.
And we just saw a nice shot of the one
Cute
of the
little
pretty
mushrooms
on the course.
We definitely enjoyed all of our nature out on this park. There was also a ginormous spider in the tree.
That was orange and yellow.
It was so pretty. Hopefully the boys got a picture of that maybe.
That's what we're pointing at, the spider.
We're all like, that one's probably big.
You definitely have to walk through the woods with caution. So there's Sarah's very short birdie putt, incredibly, playing this hole just exactly how anyone could draw it up. There it is. So scary.
Welcome back. This is hole 6, 282 feet. It is a par 3.
Yeah, trying to just get right over this little ridge here. You can stay in the middle and clear this ridge. You should be close to circle 1. I think probably one of the easier holes on the course for us because the distance is just a little shorter. So like we've been talking about, we can throw a slower speed disc and try to stay in the middle of the fairway.
Exactly. We can disc down, which makes it a little bit easier to stay straight.
This surprised me. I was curious if she did that round 1. I'm sure she did. I'm sure Sarah, if you ever played with her, has her notebook. She has a plan dialed up and she executes it. And I don't know how often she changes that up, but I'm going to say not very often. I thought I went that's how I didn't go long. Okay, I was going to say that thing was flying. I was trying to kind of do a little bit of a S flight with it. Thank you, Tree. Trees out here have been very kind.
KK not happy with her grip. So you're
I think
looking at
she
her
had
hand.
just went to the bathroom and used hand sanitizer. And for those of you who have not ever tried that, it's typically pretty sticky after you use it. I thought that was in. Out of your hand. That was such a pretty flight. Not too many holes out here that we can try to get the 1 on, so it gets exciting when we get close at this huge course. Sarah with her limbo putt that she's leaving this course dialed in.
Yeah, she's perfected that
tournament.
For sure. Usually she's using that blue disc with the black rim.
Yeah, she's trying out. This is the range. I did clarify. We couldn't remember what it was called. Felix and I, we rave, and is it actually the new range from MVP? Putt being solid all week so far.
Hi, Freddie.
taking advantage of that redirect. 100%. And, you know, I didn't feel too guilty because I didn't have to see it.
No, the trick is to remember the good kicks and not the bad kicks.
Yes, for sure. Basket being very kind there, keeping KK's putt in, and JK with a beautiful birdie as well.
3 birdies on the day, you and I being 2 of them. This is hole 7, 794 feet. It is a par 5.
First shot right here at the bend is where we want to try to land, and then stay on this fairway as close to the edge of it as you can get, all the way down to the bottom of this lake. And that basket sitting so close to the water.
This is so skinny, and
It
look at that
may be
score
one
average.
of the hardest holes I've ever played in my career.
That score average was 7.19 for
Yep.
this par 5.
And I believe that was with the men as well. I think the spotter said for the entire day on day one, it averaged 7. So again, more than likely wanting like a slower speed disc. I went with the rock. What was that?
An Atlas.
Atlas,
for
yeah.
me.
I was going to say it looked a little bit thicker. That is the wonderful disc that you saved from the pond.
That I waited patiently for to
Yes.
swim to the side an hour and a half after the round was over yesterday.
Who knew that the Atlas floated like the dragon? Now we know. KK finding that just a little early release. Hopefully she can just pitch right out.
Yeah, it's a very punishing
I think that
ricochet.
if you do not make it past this very first little section, like, there's no options. Like, further down, there's a few gaps you can try to progress up the fairway more. But this first little area is just crucial.
That's impressive patience
Mm-hmm.
on KK's part to be able to do that little shot to the fairway and then another gentle hyzer to remain in the fairway.
Right. Sarah pitching that line perfectly. And that's what you got to do. Like, I would say 150 feet, 200 feet at a time is just fine. It's hard to think that when you're knowing that the hole is 800 feet, but doing the math works out. You don't have to bite off too much.
But boy, you really want to because
Yes, you
you
do.
know how hard this hole is.
Yes, you do. And especially, like, I executed this drive really well, and I know that I can hit that next shot. So it was really hard for me to not try to attack this with my T-bird. I know it likes to fly straight. I was super pleased with it and almost make it all the way. And it's just that little scoot that takes you too far.
Yeah, just a few inches and you would have been past that tree and would have been another 100 feet down the fairway at
Yeah.
least.
That was beautiful. And again, like I said, the flights are great if they could just stop in the middle where they hit that first tree. We would probably save a few strokes throughout the entire round. Sarah getting great kick. That was a
Yeah.
redirect right to the middle. She knows it. She loves it. And she's going to just keep moving. Unfortunately, KK's looks like it went over to the other side. I kind of got lost on that one and thought I had made it around. That's the worst, when you like hit the gap that you see and there's that one extra hidden tree that you can't even see.
So at this point during this hole, I was recounting and I had the number of strokes on my hand just to make sure that I would remember, and KK was doing the same thing.
Yeah, I remember looking back and seeing us do the exact same thing on round one. Like, it is so hard to just know that one, okay, I've got to pitch out. That was 2 perfect drives, you know, and remembering those little pitch outs because you know, man, I threw a couple huge drives. I should be there by now, right? Like, so trying to get down there, it was right in the middle, but my putter flies 200 feet, and it could have easily went in the water if I was any more aggressive with that.
I was like, get low like
You can
Jen
kind
did.
of tell here just how much it slopes
Yeah.
down to the basket,
Very quick.
which makes this very intimidating because, of course, there are no trees behind the basket.
Right, and we finally made it to the middle where we have an open look. So all of us about 200 feet coming in here at the basket. And you are so good with that
There you go.
gliding ground play to the basket. That's exactly what it needs to stay safe. I was curious how aggressive, and I was kind of on the opposite side, so I couldn't really see, but this is such a scary putt. She had played the hole so great, so you know you want to try to get the birdie, or I guess it would have been par. feels like a birdie. KK giving that a little bit of a run. Staying close. The water was so pretty today. We've been pretty lucky with some calm conditions after the big storm coming through.
Nice.
That was a quadruple bogey for KK, bogey for myself and Sarah, and honestly, that felt like a par.
It feels like a par, and mine felt like a bogey, and I was not upset about it.
I mean, I did pitch out twice. I guess it feels like a bogey, but
All trying to talk ourselves back up after that.
Hole 8, from one of the longest holes in the course to the shortest. This is 200 feet. It is a par 3.
200 feet, and I think you almost even want to play it shorter. If you try to get aggressive with this turn toward the basket, more than likely you will be OB, because the OB line is right there inside bullseye.
Yes, it is inside bullseye. Yes. And it's a little bit downhill towards the water.
Very rough terrain, a bridge that is marked mandatory relief. There's a lot going on in 200 feet. Main thing, wow, she did sneak really close. That's smiles, because that could have been worse. Missed the line, but got through on another one to the right. But this is, I think, most of our main goal. I don't think we're really worried about where the disc is going to finish.
Nope, I just wanted to get through that gate.
Get through this first gap. I'm going with a really stable AVR X3, so I am not worried about it hyzering to the water at all. I guess I should worry about a kick, maybe.
I say good, I just not
But I'm clearing the mind just to hit that gap and nothing else. KK's so good with that little soft touch. I really felt, I mean, honestly, we could really jump putt this, 2 jump putts, and we're there.
This was really awkward. It was really muddy down there, and it's lower than it looks, and you can't see. You can only see the first couple of trees.
I
that
remember
was a
that
tree that I
throw
hit.
from round 1. I was doing the splits.
Yes, you were. You had one foot on the path and the other foot down in the ditch.
Yeah, it is definitely a very awkward area to throw from.
it's like, what do you have extra of that you can risk? That you can replace?
Yeah, even for the lefties, I don't think that they feel like this is a great hole, because their shot naturally goes right towards the OB. So I actually prefer being a righty on this hole. I think it would be very
Absolutely
scary being
I
a
would
lefty,
be
and we
more-
have almost a handful of them in our division. Very smart pitch up, and even that, you know, you have to slow down. You know you're pitching it up, but again, you don't want to go under the bridge and then have to take it all the way back. So a 2-foot putt turns into a 15-foot putt.
And you don't know exactly what kind of ground play you're going to
No,
get.
I was really worried about some of where the trees are coming through there.
I really thought she had that.
And thankfully hit band, because I don't think that could have stayed in. That to me looked like it was going straight
I
in.
yanked that off the right. But
Yeah, when you
I was so grateful that somehow that didn't go out of bounds.
Yeah, it was such a good, clean little pop, though. Usually when you see that release, you expect to hear the chains. Definitely thankful, inches
Yes.
from going out. And able to save the bogey. And just like that, we are almost through the front 9.
Gotta get the iconic picture. Oh, you can't.
Nobody is immune to a course like Northwood Black.
Just throwing laser beams.
That's so good.
Bresnell, the birdie, the fist pump.
Critical shot.
Gotta get up. Bresnell.
That is a shot of a champion.
Your 2024 Champions Cup winner, Andrew Bresnell.
Welcome back. This is hole 9, 294 feet, par 3.
We we are starting the stretch with all the water holes. So a little bit shorter, but does not mean the difficulty drops at all. We have to either decide about that layup and then pitching over, which is not an easy little throw over, or being aggressive and just trying to get all the way over. Almost feels like an island, even though it's not. The water from the tropical storm definitely pushed that OB line up, I believe, 20 feet or more. I thought I threw this perfect day one, but realized it was just a little short, so was a little more aggressive on it, trying to get straighter flight before it cuts in.
You know, I'd like to see how many people in our division actually go for it.
Attempted it? Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if you were the only one.
I feel like I heard a few more. I think I saw Sammy out there practicing, and she went for it. Now, whether she changed her game plan during the week, I don't know. I definitely practiced just a little jump putt to lay up and then a Toro or a putter over. But, yeah, calculating it, seeing people lay up and still get the bogey, to me, it's just I might as well try to go for it.
The layup area was pretty darn small. As we see,
yeah.
Sarah's forced to just do
layup again,
a 20-foot putt over to the actual zone.
Yeah.
Nice little roll inside circle one.
I meant to be higher.
That looked much closer to the basket from where we were positioned.
I
when
don't
we
know if
saw
it
her
was the
throw
shadows, all the trees. My depth perception is never great, but I feel like this week it's been horrible. Done exactly how you want to do it. And I believe this is that Rage again. She's really loving it as an approach disc. Range. Say range.
And that also looked very close to the basket from where we were standing.
I walked down here.
KK saves her par.
Was it? Yeah, I felt like I was up there.
From up there,
I like see the circle with all this. Yeah.
And none of us really care if we put out of order, but we still always try to be respectful and follow the rules. A couple of beautiful putts. And this hole averaged 4. Sorry, jumping over snakes. Don't mind me screaming like a girl. It was such a pretty snake, and I saw it.
Landed on it.
Green, yeah.
Yeah, I saw it, and I was actually trying to calmly step over it. And then when I went to kind of jump over it, it went right where I was trying to land. So then I thought, I screamed because I thought I was going to kill it.
No snakes were harmed in that footage.
No one, and my heart rate came back down enough to make the birdie putt.
It's a good thing you didn't have
Oh
a
my
longer
gosh,
putt.
can you imagine? No, my heart rate, I was, yeah. So a lot of action for that 12-foot birdie putt, but was able to get the only birdie of the day.
So after 9 holes, Sarah is playing very well, though she's just had a little bit of a bogey streak, and you're right there. And
Yeah, trying to stay around even, I think, is everyone's game plan out here. Pretty hard to shoot under, but thanks for joining us. Make sure you follow along and catch the back 9.